Hey, what's good, everybody? It's your boy Onyx here, going full nerd with another one of my spoiler-free reviews. And this one is of, obviously, Captain Marvel. Hey, where do we begin? Okay, this is the last MCU movie, the last Marvel Cinematic movie we get before the final fate of the Avengers in Avengers Endgame. So, before I even start, there's been so many mixed reviews about this movie. Some say it's bad. Some say it's just average. Some people are saying it's great. So let's go over a number of points before I get to reviewing the movie. The biggest point that I'm going to just reiterate over and over and over again. This is an origin story. So if you're expecting a whole lot of mindless superhero plot moments, don't. This is all about character development. Okay, some of you don't understand character development, so I'm gonna let character development sit in your brain. Remember that, character development. Okay, now I've watched other more successful YouTube personalities and channels give their reviews on Captain Marvel. I never use their reviews to sway where I'm gonna go on how I feel about something, because I will tell you, I am a true fan. I love superheroes. You can see my figures in the back. You could tell by the way I dress in my videos. You could tell by the subject matter I deal with. Pretty much every and anything, regardless, I try to collect and deal with. So I love superheroes, bottom line. Okay, some of these people, they are in it for the financial benefit of doing these videos and getting and gaining an audience. They're more worried about how many views they get. They're worried about how many sponsors they can get so they can do this and do that. All right. I'm just gonna put it out there. All right. I saw some reviews by people that are quote unquote well respected in the review or reaction community. And after hearing their review of this movie, I'm actually going to question the fact that, are they a true fan, or are they just kind of fanning the flames just to get views? That's how I feel. All right. It's making me question, do they know comic book history? Do they know how these characters were originally developed? And are they even desiring to give an honest opinion? Or are they just going to follow the crowd just because they know that's a large crowd and they're going to get a ton of views? All right, so now that brings me to my spoiler-free review of Captain Marvel. All right, now you could tell in the beginning of this movie it is a gap filler. All right, over the past 10 years, we've had this world, this Marvel Cinematic Universe, okay, built in front of us brick by brick. Okay, some things we just accepted, others we had to learn about along the way. And as a longtime comic book fan, I had to accept that they can't do these movies exactly like the comic books. But if they could get as close as possible, they can keep the old school fans and introduce a new crowd and make everybody pretty much happy and satisfied with the movies that were put out. Actually, this wasn't the case, because many old school fans used to get caught up with these characters and saying, oh, they shouldn't be changed. Oh, why are we deviating from the source material? Hey, I was one of them at first. Okay, there are some movies that I look at, like the last Fantastic Four movie. I was really like, I give it a shot. Then it was just that bad. Okay, I really felt some kind of way about Superman's personality change in the Man of Steel, Batman versus Superman, Justice League, and all that, from the darker version, versus the Christopher Reeve, lighthearted, I'm the ultimate Boy Scouter, and how they portrayed him in comic books I grew up in. And even though I disagree, even though I gave it the ratings I gave it, I'm just going to say I love superheroes, point blank. So I was going to support those movies anyway. I'm going to tell you how I should have viewed them, but obviously I was going to go to the theater. I was going to pay for the tickets, regardless whether it was good, bad, or indifferent, whatever reviews I heard, and I was going to judge for myself. So let me give you my opinion, and back to the Captain Marvel review. Here are my takeaways. All right. First thing, don't expect characters to act like what you're currently used to. All right, it's a young Nick Fury. And Shield, this was 1990s Shield. I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I mean, there were things in there that I felt were like, wait a minute, I thought Shield was okay. We're gonna take this back to the 90s. We're gonna deal with it. They're not fully developed, or they not completely showing everything. Maybe they didn't get certain stuff till the 90s. Okay, it's something that deducted from the overall score from me, so it is what it is. All right. Now, special effects. One reviewer, I'll say who it is, Tyrone Magnus, one of the reviewers. He has a very popular YouTube channel, 1.5 million subscribers. He had issues with the special effects. I want to know what special effects he was looking at, because to me, they were basic. They were par on course. It was no Black Panther. It was no Aquaman. Okay. But between the shape-shifting scrolls, the de-aging techniques they used on Samuel L. Jackson and Clark Gregg, Nick Fury and Agent Coulson responsibly, it wasn't as bad as some people would lead you to believe. I mean, these were not makeup effects on Sam Jackson. This was CGI through the whole film. Just putting it out there. All right. Now, in typical Marvel Cinematic Universe fashion, character twists, intermingling the classic origin of Carol Danvers / Captain Marvel with something a little more relatable to today. It's something that the MCU does all the time with all these characters, updating it, because a lot of these characters were created in the 50s, 60s, 70s. So those stories don't hold up to today's snuff. I think they did a good deal with her origin, okay? How they did it. They mixed elements of the old origin with elements of the new origin and things like that. So I kind of dig it. I liked it. All right. Now, a couple of things. If you're going to go to the movie, please stay through. There are 2 after credit scenes. One that relates directly to Avengers Endgame. Another one that's the humorous, Marvel Cinematic Universe twist that's after the credits. And actually, it fills in some plot gaps. Or at least to me it did. And it was a very tiny plot gap. But it is what it is. So now, here's the elephant in the room. If you want to dig into what people said were feministic or political overtones, I've got one statement. Really? You going I didn't really feel that way sitting in the movie. I sat there, I heard it, okay. But what was wrong with having just a positive something relatable for a female superheroes? Wonder Woman set the bar real high. Captain Marvel did not reach the bar of Wonder Woman, but I don't think it just drug it under. And for those of you who want to bring up, oh, well, Brie Larson made comments during the press junket, actually that was dismissed as fake news, if you like to call it that way. It was actually some comments made long before this movie, and it didn't even have to do with this movie. The comments actually had to deal with the movie A Wrinkle in Time, when people were slamming that movie. And that particular part was, how is a male reviewer, or the predominant male reviewers, going to relate to a movie that was made for girls, ethnic girls? I mean, I'm sorry. I'm going to sit here and say it. How many Medea movies get critically acclaimed in the beginning? How many Wayans Brothers movies get critically acclaimed? How many of Kevin Hart and all those movies get critically acclaimed? Don't just name the generic, don't name your Jumanjis and these other top billed ones. What I'm talking about, the early stuff. The stuff that they were able to get parts in, the stuff that made them rise to fame in their respective communities. I'm just saying, I'm not comparing Captain Marvel to that, but if a little girl wants to see Captain Marvel and gets a positive thing from it, who are we? But that's a whole different story. All right. So what do I give Captain Marvel? I'm going to put some things out there. First thing, IMAX is not needed. Okay, the upcharge price, you don't need it for IMAX. 3D, write it off the ticket. I know I'm not a big fan of 3D, but I looked at no, we don't need 3D. Pretty much, it's simply an origin story. If you're not, if you're not well versed in who the character is or even an inkling of what the character can bring to the table, I'm not saying you got to know it exactly. This was a great filler movie before Avengers Endgame to introduce you to one of the characters that's going to play a role. I don't know if she's going to play an important role. Marvel and Disney, they're good at masking how much interaction a person is going to have or how much impact they're going to have in a story. So it is. Now, when it comes to giving a rating, I could get this movie to go either way. It's totally up to you, whether you go see it or not. I went and saw it. I enjoyed it. I give Captain Marvel a 3 and shaky up to a 3.5. That's what I get it. It's a little bit better than average. And I'm cool with that. Okay? I'm not going to slam it. I'm not going to say, oh, it's horrible. It's the worst movie since Iron Man 3. Hell, I liked Iron Man 3. I liked all Iron Man movies. I liked all the Thor movies. Y'all get mad at me. It's all good. Whether I give it a numerical rating or not, I still like them all because they all had a part with it. Okay? Now we got a higher bar we have to hold ourselves up to because of Oscars and things like that. But as a basic comic book fan, I'm not an actor, I'm not a movie critic, I'm just a dude in a computer, and I'm telling you, I liked this movie. 3 to 3.5 out of 5. That's what I give Captain Marvel. Bam, you got it. Now, my wife, not a comic book fan. She goes with me. She humors me. I said, well, what do you give it? Before I even open my mouth on how I feel about the movie, before you see my reaction, what do you give it? What do you think as the person coming off the street watching it? Hey, she said it was a little slow in the beginning, picked up once they got to a certain point, and she was kept in there. She gave it a 4 out of 5. That's somebody who really just went because it's a movie, okay? So don't let this internet hype drive you insane, okay? Don't let this internet hype, throw you off key. Go, enjoy the movie, peep it out. In a month, a little less than a month, or is it a little more than a month, we're going to get Avengers Endgame. Remember, check out the podcast on Anchor.fm. Check out the videos on YouTube. Check out the videos on Facebook. Please join me for the live stream, 6 p.m. every Sunday Eastern Standard Time. And remember, if you can't say something nice to anybody, don't say anything at all. This is your boy Onyx at Going Full Nerd. You can see every and anything on goingfullnerd.com. And peace, y'all. I'm out of here.